Yeah, Anuj, is my screen visible?
Yes,
Yes.
Ankur, it is visible.
Okay, just give me a second. Okay, guys, thank you, Anuj. Thank you for the brief introduction. Okay, good evening, guys. Hope you are doing well. So, as Anuj has already introduced me, I am working in design to occupancy from past 6 years, and I am a lead auditor of ISO 50001 Energy Management System and also a GRIA certified professional. And I've been working in the field of building energy commissioning, energy audits, water audits, and green building certification, energy simulation, and other building energy services as well. So I am currently working as a deputy manager in design to occupancy services. So for today's topic is our fundamentals of water audit. Okay. So as Anuj has already mentioned, the our topics for today. First is the water crisis and scarcity. Second would be the introduction about water audit. What are the objectives of water audit and benefits of water audit, importance of water audit, and what are the steps involved in water audit. And we will also do a small exercise which we do during our water audit. So that we will also do later when we are going through this PPT. Okay. So first is why we are talking about water audit. Why we are talking about water audit this much? What is the need of water audit? Can anyone tell me why we are talking about water audit? Guys, you can write in your chat box why we are so much of talking about water audit. Guys, you can use the chat box to answer. Okay, to reduce the water consumption, increase pollution of water, to know the points of wastages, non-compliant industries, save water for future generations, increasing scarcity of water due to various activities of human. Okay, water is precious. Yeah. So check on water consumption to track water losses, water consumption. Okay. So we'll go to the first, the basic thing which we all know, that how much water is available for us. Okay. In all over the world, we out of total 70% of our earth is water. Okay, is covered with water. But out of that 70%, only 3% of water is fresh water. Rest all is the sea water, or you can say a saline water, which is non-usable directly. We have to treat that water to use, and that treatment process is very rigorous. So for our use, we have only 3% of fresh water, and out of that 3%, most of the water is frozen in glaciers. Okay, in glaciers or in other things. Okay, and the flowing water which we have is only 0.03% of total 100%. Okay, so only that much amount of first is water is available to us for usage, for direct use. Okay. Second, coming to the point, as you have all have mentioned that we we want to know the water use pattern. We want to know the water consumption. We want to know the water wastage. Okay. Why we all want to know this? Because because of the water crisis which is currently going on. Okay. India is facing one of the biggest crises in its history. Okay. It's COVID-19, but above COVID-19, it is the water crisis. We are saying that wash your hand for 20 seconds, okay, but we are wasting that much of water also. Okay, as per CWMI, that is Composite Water Management Index. Okay, in 2018, they gave a report that 600 million Indian face high to extreme water stress, and about 2 lakhs of people die every year due to inadequate access of safe water. So that is a huge amount, around 2 lakhs people. Okay, around 2 lakh people dies every year due to inadequate access of safe water. Okay, in 2018, CWMI also noted that by 2030, India's water demand is going to raise by double its quantity we are using it now. Okay, and it is going to affect our GDP by 6%. That is our we will lose our GDP by 6% due to this increase in water consumption. Obviously, why the water consumption is increasing? First of all, our population is increasing regularly, Okay. Secondly, the usage of water in different practices is also using, like we can say in our COVID period, we have to wash our hand regularly. Okay, that has also increased our usage of water. So all these things have led to the increase of water, which will imply to severe water scarcity for hundreds and millions of people. Okay, what is bigger risk is that the water available to the 40% of population, to the 40% of population of India is not clean water. It is very dirty water, and 75% of household, okay, don't have no access to drinking water by 2030. That was also given by CWMI that by 2030, 40% of the population will not have any access to for the drinking water. Okay, everyone. UNICEF data also said that also estimated the economic burden of waterborne diseases in is approximately 600 million US dollars, and as chemicals contaminate the water in 1.6 billion homes. So if we come to the Indian case, there are many recent water scarcity or water crises that have happened in our Indian scenarios. Okay, we will go to the Delhi. Okay, the production of water is very low. The groundwater has been reduced in many regions of Delhi. Okay, they have actually told that you can't get the groundwater out as they are not giving the permission for bore wells. Okay, water supply in Delhi is affected due to the production of being hampered in 3 water treatment plants because of high algae growth and increased levels of ammonia in Yamuna river. Okay, everyone in Delhi who is living in Delhi knows what is the condition of Yamuna. Whenever you will pass by an overbridge through Yamuna, you will see that it doesn't look like a river because the water is having algae and increased level of ammonia, and it looks like a very dirty water is flowing, due to which the Delhi government have to install water treatment plants with a very high level capacity. Okay, which takes time as well. Okay, which take time as well. A senior DJB official said that on Saturday evening, 20% to 25% operations at Chandrawal and Wazirabad plants were hampered because the ammonia levels were within treatable limits. You can see this is the recent news of 20th June. That is 10 days back that on that Saturday and Sunday evening, 20 to 25% of these two plants, these two water treatment plants were not happening because of the increased ammonia level. Okay, DJB operates around 9 treatment plants in the city, out of which 2 plants draw raw water from Yamuna. So that quality of water we are throwing inside the rivers, that we can't even reuse our river waters as well. Woman in water security hit area in Almora digs 25-feet well by herself. Okay. Vimla Goswami, there was one lady, because she was having water scarcity. For years, she has to travel around 1 kilometers to 2 kilometers to get the water, to fetch the water. She dig a 25-feet well by herself to get the water. So that is also a woman, if she has to dig a 25-feet well. So there, that is a lack of management from government. That is lack of governance on those areas. Okay, water scarcity triggers to acute diarrhea disease in Ernakulam. You can see these all are the recent news which are related to the water, that water scarcity pose health risks in residents in the district. Acute diarrhea disease outbreaks being reported from Ernakulam, including West Kochi and Chelanam. All these are recent news. You can find it on your newspapers. You can find it that all these things are going on related to water. Water scarcity grips many zones of Ranthambore Tiger Reserve. Okay, I don't know how many of you have visited this Ranthambore Tiger Reserve. There are many small lakes, water lakes are there, but in summer all those lakes get dried up, and all those ponds get dried up, due to which the animals living there, the tigers living there, okay, they won't get the water. So they are also facing the water scarcity due to our things which we are doing. Due to the dried up of ponds, they are also facing the water scarcities. Okay. Around 25 to 30 tankers were required per day in peak summers to fill up those ponds for the tiger reserves. Okay. Chennai. Chennai was hit very hard in 2019. I think most of you must have known this fact that there was one lake Chembarambakkam Lake, okay, which was the major source of Chennai's water supply, and it got dried up in 2019. Okay, due to this drying up, Chennai faced a worst water scarcity in 2019 summers. Okay, the lake which was overflowed in 2015 December due to the lack of rainfall, due to the increase in pollution, there was lack of rainfall in Chennai, and this lake got dried up in the summer, and Chennai faced the worst crisis. Okay. Also, except this, you must have heard about a few of the things like in a village in Jhansi. Okay, people were not getting water, so they have to travel around 2 to 3 kilometers. Okay, so someone from our film industry helped them to get that hand pumps installed in their regions. So all these are the factors due to which water crisis is going on, water scarcity is going on. Now, what are the causes for water crisis in India, and what are the solutions for that? Okay, what are the problems we are facing due to global warming? Definitely due to global warming, our rainfall pattern is in India has actually altered dramatically. It has altered dramatically, like if you will say in the regions of like in the western regions where where the monsoons were going to hit during the June month. Okay, in the south, the in southern regions of India, the monsoons hit during the early June. In western coastal regions, it hits during the mid June time. But currently, if you will go through the data, okay, the monsoons are yet to hit these regions. Okay, though, so there is a gap between these, there is a gap between the rainfall pattern, and the rainfall has delayed. Okay, construction of dam and other hydroelectric projects and water diversions for irrigations has led to systematically destroying large river ecosystem. Also, for all the rivers and all, okay, the construction of dam and all, yes, we are storing the water due to the construction of dam, but due to that thing also we are destroying the ecosystem. Like for the large rivers and all, we are actually we are actually destroying this reverse actual part, due to which it is affecting that rivers. Okay, the amount of water which it should carry, it is not carrying that amount of water, due to which there are crisis, and there are also floods due to that also. Because when you store water for dams, okay, the of river gets narrowed down, you built your construction, and during rainy seasons, if the rainfall is little bit higher, the all the regions will get flooded. Okay, now India uses more groundwater than any other country in the world, and groundwater exploitation has causes accelerated drying of aquifers. Okay, India uses groundwaters, and in India, the thing is that the groundwater is not monitored. Okay, where you are using your groundwater, how much groundwater you are using, that groundwater is not monitored at all. Okay, now the Central Groundwater Authority has come up with the idea to provide the NOCs to all the groundwater using people, but till that period it was not compulsion for the regions which comes in safe zones, which comes in safe zones or safer zones. Okay, it was not compulsory for them, so they were using the groundwater, and they were actually destroying those groundwater sources because they are using it in very large quantity. Okay, river basins, catchments, and watersheds are not properly utilized. Okay, there is no proper guidance available for the usage of surface water and groundwater by different sectors and different states. Okay, there is no proper guideline for water. Okay, we have a guideline for energy, like Bureau of Energy Efficiency have made the energy audits. Okay, there are PAT schemes, they have actually given the ECBC codes, energy conservation building codes. But what about water? What about water? If water will not be there, people won't be able to live. Okay, once if energy is not there, yeah, you might survive. Okay, but if water is not there, if without water you can't live. Okay, so everyone have to focus now on water as well. Okay, that because water is also very much essential like energy. What are the solution? Okay, overall solution, if you will see overall the crisis which have occurred, it was due to the mismanagement of water or due to the lack of governance. Okay, so what first thing which you require is the increased awareness in the citizen. Okay, all the citizens should increase the awareness about this water crisis, and have to be aware that how much water they are using and how can they save this water. Okay, At community level, water conservation is absolutely necessary to reduce pressure from groundwater to and to supply water for human consumption. In agriculture practices also, planting as crops that requires less water. In agricultural practices, or when you are building your gardens, okay, when you are building your gardens, you should actually plant the native plants, okay, whatever plants which are native to your region, okay, because they will use less water than required by them, okay, because they are very much suitable to your environment, to your climate. So native plants must be used for agriculture systems. For irrigation practices, irrigation should be done by some area and water conserving irrigation practices like drip irrigations, okay. Local governments can take part in water conservation by utilizing watershed development and monitoring the groundwater usage, okay. At district and state level, it is important to encourage farmers to choose crops wisely so that the water consumption can be reduced. Yeah. Facts and policies which we must know about, okay. First is that India is the biggest user of groundwater in the world. It is the our biggest source of drinking water supply and agriculture. For both these things, groundwater, India uses most of the groundwater. 85% of India's rural drinking water is from groundwater sources. There are mostly hand pumps, there are bore wells, okay. For food supplies also, for wheat cultivation, rice cultivation face extreme water scarcities in India, okay, due to which the farmers crops are affected, and then they are even we are not even getting the food properly. So food supply is also at risk due to this, okay. India's new national water policy aims to conserve water resources through public and private partnership modes and work on modalities to implement ongoing programs, okay. India's Jal Shakti Ministry has also come up with various plans, like our central government, Central Groundwater Authority has come up with the mandatory water audits for all the industries and infrastructures, everything which is consuming more than 100 kiloliters of water. Okay, they have to do a compulsory water audit so that they are aware that how much water they are using. Okay. Now coming to the water audit part, that what is water audit, okay. Now can anyone tell me what is water audit and what do you understand by water audit? Guys, can you please write in chat box what do you understand by water audit, or what do you understand by simple audit?
Ankur, I'm giving the rights to the people, like they can unmute themselves also, like if they want to unmute.
Okay, they can raise their hands and then unmute.
Now I have given the rights to the people. They can unmute, and they can if they want to share what they are aware about the water what audit or water audit, they can do.
So analysis of pattern usage of water, measuring the baseline water consumption, analyze the consumption of water and finding out ways to reduce it, measurements, reportings and verification and consumption pattern to understand the usage and losses. Okay, water audit is the study of site in terms of usage, quality, wastage, etc. Okay, so basically what is water audit? What is audit? Basically audit is a systematic process to obtain, to actually know how much we are actually consuming. If you tell about that what is a financial audit, what we are doing in financial audits, or what we are doing in energy audits, what we do in energy audit is that we go to decide what how much energy is consumed, what are the sources of our energy, and where we are consuming the energy, and where are the points to be done where we can save our energy. Similarly, it comes to the water things, that first water audit is basically a systematic process in which you obtain a water balance chart, okay, water balance chart, and from the site you collect the water balance chart from the site, and through that water balance chart you then check how much water is used, okay, from where you are getting the water total total water consumption, from where you are getting, what is the source of that water, either it is by local municipal corporation, or it is by your industrial development areas, okay, or it is by groundwater. So what are the sources of water which you are using, or it may also be the treated water which you are using, Okay, it may be the you might be using the ETPs or STPs, that is sewage treated plants or effluent treatment plants for all these. So all these comes in a water balance chart. You prepare a water balance chart, okay, and check how much water is used in each and every process, okay. And then once you have checked that how much water is used in process, then you go for the measures that how we can reduce these water consumption, how we can reduce this water consumption, and how we can go to a target for zero liquid discharge. Okay, what are the leakages, what are the leakages coming from the plant? If you are having the pipelines, are there any leakages? Okay, and so this whole survey is known as a water audit. Okay, what are the steps for water audit? The first and foremost step for the water audit is that you will do a basic water survey to identify, as I've told you, to identify the sources of water. What are the sources of water that particular industry, particular infrastructure, particular building, particular household, what are the sources of water? Okay, for how much time you are getting the fresh water supply? For how much time you are getting the fresh water supply, and how much amount of fresh water supply you are getting. So you have to check that how much supply per day you are getting, and from which source. Either you are getting it from groundwater, or your municipal corporations, or any other sources, whatever you have. You might be having lakes, you might be having ponds, so whatever is the source of that water. Okay, first you have to note that down. Okay, then you will go through each, and if it is a industry, then you will check for each and every process. You will go with each and every process, and you will just note down that okay, this process is going on, this process has this much of usage of water, okay, per day. This process have this much usage of water. So in that way you will prepare a broad chart that these all are the processes. Okay, if we talk about our building, okay, if you talk about buildings, what are the usage, where we are using water? We are using water in drinking, we are using water in washing clothes, we are using water in taking showers. Okay, we are using water in washing utensils, we are using water in mopping our households. Okay, we are using water in washing our hands. Okay, so all these are some parameters where we are using. So all these should be covered, that how much water we are using per day in all these things. Okay, now once you know that all these things are there, now you have prepared a basic water balance chart. Okay, after preparing the basic water balance chart, sorry, okay, after preparing the water balance chart, you what you will do, you will first check the flow rates. Okay, what are the flow rates of your taps, faucets which you are using? What are the flow rates of the taps which you are using? What are the flow rates of the flush which you are using? What is the flow rate of the flush which you are using? Okay, and if there is directly pipe coming through, what is at what flow rates the pipe is giving you the flow? Okay, at what pressure as well? So all these things you will do the measurements using your instruments. Okay, and once you have done all these water measurements, okay, then you will check the quality of water. Will test the quality of water. What is the quality? Okay, how much is the pH, how much is the TDS, what are the COD and BOD levels of water? So all these things you will do. You will do the testing of water and check if it is healthy. If it is a drinking water, it is healthy for healthy drink for drinking. If it you are using it for hand wash, it is good for our hand wash. If you are using for washing, then it is good for washing. So all these things should be taken care. Then you will provide, after going through all these things, you will provide the recommendations. You will provide the recommendations where the water usage is more. Okay, then once you are done with the all these recommendations and all, they will also provide the trainings to the people, and you will give them the innovative method, how innovative they can be, and how can they implement some innovative methods which will definitely reduce their water consumption. You can spread awareness programs and trainings for those people for reduction of water. Okay, now coming to the objectives of water audit. Okay, what are the objectives of water audit? The objectives of water audit basically is to utilize the water resources effectively and more efficiently. Definitely we can't say that we won't use water. We definitely require water for all our daily practices. Okay, we can't say that you don't take shower or don't use water in mopping. Okay, we can go for an method okay, which will reduce your water consumption while you are taking shower or while you are mopping, cleaning your house, while you are washing clothes. But you can't say that we can't, we have to eliminate the water used, okay, 100%. Okay, so for that you have to first utilize the water more effectively and more efficiently. So this is the first objective of water audit. Second is to check the unwanted and excess usage of water. Okay, unless and until you are monitoring anything, you won't know if you are having an unwanted excess usage of water. Okay, if like I would say that in your home, okay, while you are washing your hands, okay, your taps or faucets which you are using, okay, it gives you water at, let's say, 20 liters per minute. And if your tap is open for 30 seconds, you have wasted your 10 liters of water. Okay, in 30 seconds 10 liters of water has been wasted. Okay, so that is unwanted or excess use of water, which can be reduced by reducing the tap flow rate. If it was, you can say, 3 lpm or 2 lpm, okay, then for 1 minute, if you are using it for 1 minute also, it will use just 1 or 2 liters of water. Okay, second is to identify, what the second object is to identify the leakages. Okay, around 60 to 70% of your water, around 60 to 70% of water is actually gone out through leakages. There are most of the people don't care about water leakages. You will find it whenever you are traveling in on roads, you are going to any buildings or you are going to any industries, you will find that there are leakages, there are visible leakages, but they are not being taken care of. Okay, so leak detection survey, that is also one of the objective of water audit. Okay, third thing is provide cost benefit study for optimum recovery of water loss. If you are having water losses like in industries, okay, like in our home also, the gray water, the toilet water, the gray water or the black water which is going out, we can recycle that water through STP and reuse it for flushing. Okay, you might not want to use it for hand wash or drinking, but you can use it for flushing. So these type of things, these types of cost effective methods can actually give you reduction in your water usage. I identify thefts, meter inaccuracies if water meters are installed, and if the meter is inaccurate, okay, that can also be identified through your water audit. Okay, determine the losses both physical and non-physical, and to identify priorities of area which need immediate attention for control and maintenance. Okay, this is the most important thing, that whenever you do any audit, you whether you do a energy audit, whether you do a water audit, okay, the first and foremost thing which you want to identify is the which area is affected much more. Okay, like if you say in our household, if we go for our household, basic household for energy systems, okay, our HVAC systems are the one which are using the major part of energy. Okay, similarly if you will go for waters, okay, mostly you are using water in your hand wash utensils, washing and all. So this might be the regions, or your flush, okay, sorry, or your toilet flush and all. So these are the areas which may require an immediate attention for you, and you can actually go through all these systems and then get know, you will get to know the priorities, the areas which are on priority, where we have to actually focus our work for water conservation. Okay, now coming to the benefits of water audit. Okay, benefits of water audit is that, firstly, definitely that water savings is possible. Okay, water audit improves the knowledge and documentation of distribution, water distribution. Okay, it leads to it basically reduces your water losses. It improves your financial performance, because you are also now you are paying for your water as well, there are water bills as well. So since you are paying for your water, okay, it will reduce your water bills if you are reducing your water consumption. Improves reliability of supply systems, efficient use of existing supplies. Okay, better safeguard to public health, since you are also monitoring the water quality, it will also help to safeguard the public health, okay, and property, and it will also reduce the legal liabilities. Large potential cost savings that can be achieved by rainwater harvesting through the recycling of water or the use of rainwater. Okay, you can either store the rainwater in your tanks, or you can do the harvesting parts. Okay, so all these will actually reduce the water potentials and also increase your groundwater levels. And if you are recycling the water, it will reduce your fresh water consumption. Now, what is the importance of water audit? Okay, we will see according to World Bank. Okay, water loss is very much critical. Around 45 million meter cube. Okay, around 45 million meter cube of water is lost every day. Okay, which accounts for around US dollar 3 billion every year. Okay, so World Bank has given this at around 45 million meter cube of water is lost every day. Okay, and Asia alone loses half of its distribution of water due to leakages in pipe. Okay, as I've already mentioned this as earlier as well, that mostly the water loss is due to the leakages in pipes. Okay, and no one cares about that. Okay, if there is a small leakage, they will keep it going, the water will keep on flowing, but and the losses will keep on increasing. Okay, but the no one will take care of that and get it rectified until and unless it becomes a major issue, or if it is if the leakage has been increased. Okay, the huge amount of water loss adds strains to governments and utilities in their funding and deprives clean water to major population, which endures to water scarcity. Okay, due to these water losses, it will definitely going to increase the stress and strains on the government, and due to which most part of the people and populations doesn't get the water and endures to water scarcity. For now, for that only the people have to travel 1 kilometers, 2 kilometers, or 5 kilometers. Even people have to travel 10 kilometers for the for getting fresh water for regular usage as well. Okay, it can save money and time, effort that goes into treatment of water up to consumable standards, installation and distribution of systems. Okay, if you are doing water audit regularly, if you are doing even for your homes, if you are doing it regularly, you will get to know that how much extra amount of water or excess amount of water you were using, and if you reduce that amount of water, the similar amount of water will require less treatment. Okay, which will help the government to provide water to the regions which also requires the fresh waters. Yeah. Now coming to the steps involved, we have discussed this in just a few points. Now we'll go in detail. Okay, first thing is water supply and usage study. Okay, preparation of layout of water resources, distribution networks and delivery points. Okay, first we will prepare a water balance. I have told you. Okay, we will prepare a layout in which first we will show the water resources, distribution networks where the water is going, and delivery points. A record of past consumption of patterns of various sectors. If a record is available, if a record of water consumption is available, we will take those data and check for which system is using how much of water. Okay, then data of rainwater harvesting or effluent recycling or sewage water recycling. Okay, all these data if available, you will collect all those data. Okay, you will then install for process study, you will install the flow measurements devices, will monitor the quality of distribution system, and leakage assessment will be an integral part of that. Okay. Installation of flow measurements, you will check the flow through the flow meters that the water provided, how much water is going inside the pipes directly. If in industries you are using directly pipes are being used, then you will install the flow meters of your own. Okay, and you will be able to know the leakages as well, how much leakages is going on. Okay, and then you can reduce your water consumption. Okay, now system audit, you will go for once you are done with the process study, you will go for each and individual system. Okay, as I've told you, like in your household how much water you are using as drinking water. If you have an RO plant, okay, if you have an RO plant installed at your house, okay, what is the efficiency of that RO plant, how much water is thrown out which is non-usable by your RO plant, and can you reuse it again, and if you are reusing it, how will you reuse it, or you can recycle that water. Okay, if you will, if there is washing, if you are using water in washing machines. Okay, if you are cleaning your house directly by pouring the water through buckets. Okay, or if you are cleaning your parkings or cars directly by pouring your buckets, then instead of that you can actually go with the mops and clean the cars or your floors using the mops. okay, which will reduce the water consumption. Okay, then discharge analysis. First thing is we will do how much water you are throwing out. First is domestic wastewater, okay, return from the flows from irrigation if it is irrigation, recovery of vulnerable byproducts, and recycling of wastewater. How much water we can recycle? Can we make our household or the industries which are going, can we make that a zero liquid discharge? Okay, if we can recycle the whole amount of water, we can make it as a zero liquid discharge or not. Okay, terms involved in water audit. First is supply. Okay, supply is basically water released from the control points in the water system. Then leakages, I think everyone knows, which is the water lost from the water system due to a defect from the reaching point or to the desired destination. Okay, consumption is how much water we are consuming or how much water we are using. Authorized consumption is that we are having a metered volume of water and we have a limited water requirements. Okay, we have a limited water consumption. Basically we have limited water which is given to us. Okay, no revenue water is the unbilled or unauthorized consumption. Okay, unaccounted for water total produced authorized use. Okay, now coming to the CGWA. CGWA has from you can say from 24th September 2020 they have made one clause mandatory. Okay, what CGW has done, that first thing is that every industry, every infrastructure, every building, okay, whichever is using a groundwater more than 10 KLD, they have to take a no objection certificate from CGWA and have to pay a hefty amount of water for which they are using. Okay, the rates of water is variable from the is variable for the danger regions and the safer regions, or we can say over affected regions. Okay, so these rates, water rates per KL varies in each and every region, but they have now made it mandatory to apply for NOCs if your industries or you haven't applied, if you are using your groundwater and you haven't applied. Okay, and if you will if you have delayed in applying, then you will have to pay penalties for that as well. Okay, and in that notification they have also mentioned about the impact assessment study, that if you are using the groundwater, if you are taking out the groundwater, what is the impact of that groundwater, what is the impact of that on your ecosystem, okay, on the environmental regions, okay, besides your sites. Now, okay, all CGW has also made mandatory requirement for water audits for every industries. Okay, for every industries having a water consumption of 100 KLD or more. Okay, for every industries, for every infrastructure having water consumption of 100 KLD or more, they have mandated a compulsory water audit for that too annually for the next 3 years till the period your NOC is valid. Okay, unless and until you submit the water audit report, your NOC will be cancelled. Okay, your NOC will be cancelled and you will be paying the environmental compensation. So all these are the steps and policies which Central Groundwater Authority have taken. Okay, now for water savings, what are the water conservation measures? Okay, first, as I've told you, use broom instead of a hose to sweep sidewalks or driveways. Okay, instead of directly using pipes or hoses, okay, for cleaning your driveways, pathways, corridors, okay, use brooms. Okay, use brooms so that you can save the water in that. Okay, when you are washing the car, use a hose with an on off nozzle or use bucket of rinse water. Okay, instead of using directly using hose, you should use a hose with a on off nozzle so that whenever required you can turn on and turn off. Okay, water lawns in morning or evening when water will not evaporate as quickly. Okay, for the lawns or garden areas, you should provide the water mostly in the mornings and evening. Okay, also the water which through which way you are providing the water should be either by sprinkler or you are providing by drip irrigation, that it will be most useful other than directly throwing water through using the hoses or pipes. Make sure the water lands on vegetation and not on streets or sidewalks. Okay, that is also very much important, because if the water is landing on streets or sidewalks, then also you are actually wasting those water. Okay, when washing dishes by hand, use a sink full of rinse water rather than letting the water run. Okay, whenever you are using the when you are washing the dishes, use the water 100% water in rinse water in your utensils. Okay, and instead of letting that water going directly out. Okay, fix the leaks. Okay, install low flow shower heads or faucets and taps. Okay, or flushes. All these should be we should not say it a low flow, but an optimized flow. The amount of optimized flow, and it is provided by NBC, that how much flow is required. Okay, NBC has given the norms for generally. Okay, that our national building code. Okay, it provides that for water closets. Okay, for water closets it should be 6 liter per flush. Okay, the maximum flow rate. Okay, for urinals it should be 3.8 liters per flush. For lavatories and metered faucets it should be, if it is up in public regions lavatories and metered faucet, it should be 1 liter per use. Okay, for lavatory faucets which you are using as a private, okay, for private region it should be 8 lpm. Okay, for sink faucets, bidet, hands held sprays, okay, it should be 8 lpm. These all are provided in the national building code of 2016. Okay, if you will go through the plumbing section of that, you will see that all these, the shower head, it should be have the maximum of 10 liters per minute. Okay, so if even if you install a 10 lpm shower head, we can see that if you are taking a shower for 5 minutes, you are wasting 50 liters of water. So that is also essential, that how you are using your water, what is your mindset while you are using the water. Okay, use your water meter to check the hidden water leaks. Recycle your water where you can. Okay. So these are the water requirements as per the NBC, that for factories, domestic liters per water, that is 30 liters per head per day. For flushing it should be 15 liters per head per day, so total consumption is 45. These are all provided in the NBC. For hotels up to 3 star it is 120 liters for domestic. Okay, and for flushing it is 60 liters. So whenever you are actually doing an audit, you should actually take care that is the building or the industry which you are using, it is having this much, it is using this much of water for domestic or flushing purposes. If it is having more number, if it is if this quantity is more, then you should recommend them to reduce the domestic liters per head per day and flushing liters per head per day. Okay, so that they are following the NBC standards. Okay, so conclusion is simple. Now before going to conclusion, Anuj, can we have that activity now?
Yes, Ankur, we can have that activity. I'm just putting my screen back so that people must be aware about what is the
Yeah.
activity all about. Okay. So everyone, if you are with your mobile phones or the cameras, and what you people have to do, just go to your nearby faucet of your home. Okay. If you're on office, if you're at home, just go to the nearby faucet, either in washroom, either in kitchen. Please take out a mobile and do the that stopwatch and 1 minute. Like take out put the faucet on and check. Put the 1 minute timer on the stopwatch and check what is the LPM, which is a liter per minute. How much water is coming out from the faucet in a 1 minute? Just go and check it out. We will give the 2 or 3 minutes time if you can do it. And what is your answer? Just put in the chat box, and we will see how many people are participating. We will give the 3 minutes time. Just go to your nearby faucet, uh, take a like a do the faucet on,
Okay.
and take your stopwatch and start the stopwatch for a 1 minute, and check out the LPM of your faucet.
You can take the 1 liter water
Mhm.
bottles and check the total time required to fill that water bottle.
Yes, please do not waste the water. Please
Yeah.
fill the water bottle or the bucket if you have. So you can check in that. Just go and check it out, please, guys. That is a good activity because it is very important activity when we do the green building certification for the water part. It is this activity performed by by us, by our team, also the reviewer who do the site audit and all. They also do this activity. So you will be more aware about it. What are the steps are involved in this? So anyone who who has checked out or who is going to check out, just put in the chat box. We will appreciate your participation. Great, great. We will because a lot of things are coming up. In the meantime, I'm just sharing a lot of things are coming up in the session, because after the session we will take the questions which has been asked by the various people. So we will take up the questions. After that, I will share a few details what we are going to do in next sessions and what we are planning for the water audit. Okay. So please stay tuned till the last of the event so that you will have a more information. Ankur, can you please help me? Like, are people responding in the chat box if they
Yes.
find out what is the LPM they got?
1 liter in 45 seconds for Mr. Magesh. Magesh, you can
Okay.
calculate how much liter in 1 minute. You can calculate the LPM. LPM is liter per minute.
So the LPM term is very important. The liter per minute.
Okay. For D2O green, it is 12 LPM. Who has written that? Please write your name as well. For YS Rao, it is 1 liter per minute, 1 LPM. That's great.
Very nice.
For Harshita Gupta, it took 25 seconds. So it took 25 seconds to fill 1 liter, Harshita. So it would be for 60 seconds, it will be 2.4 LPM. For Ashu Gupta, it is 1.2. Anmol Chitrans, it is 2 LPM approx. For Athoba, it is 1.5 LPM. For Bhanu, it is 6.9 LPM. For Nikunj, it is 17 LPM for kitchen sink. Nikunj, that is too high. For Magesh, it is 1.3 LPM. That is good. So even if you follow NBC, for your kitchen faucets, it should be around 8 LPM. So if it is more than 8 LPM, then you are not even following NBCs. Okay, generally what we design it like around 50% saving than LPC, because we have that faucets. Okay, 1.6 LPM, 1.8 LPM, that is too good. 1.6 and 1.8. But for if it is private, then it is good. If it is something for any public areas, we will go by nearby your malls or something. If in that public areas, if it is higher than 1 LPM, okay, then that is not allowable as per NBC.
Perfect.
4.5 LPM. Okay.
I'm very impressed by the the responses that people responded and they did the exercise. That's very important. So thank you
12
so much.
LPM for Mr. Sayed. Nikhil having 4.5 LPM.
Anjali
Anjali having 3
3
LPM.
LPM. Very nice.
So thank
So
you guys.
yes,
Will
Ankur, please take it forward.
yeah. Is my screen still visible? Anuj, what is visible on screen?
No, nothing is visible, Ankur, right now.
Oh yeah, okay. Just a second. Okay, it's visible now, right?
Yes, it is visible.
So basically, what conclusion do we have? Okay, first thing, thing is that what I would recommend to you all is that now you know the basic water audit steps. Okay, you should do a basic water audit of your household. How much amount of water you are using per day? Okay, and how can you reduce your water? Okay, the first and foremost thing I would do is, like you have done it for your one faucet, you can do it for your all other faucets as well, and you can use aerators to reduce your water consumption. Okay, second thing is the most thing is that water conservation in the past has been dealt with consumer oriented water conservation practices and devices, although some of these devices can be effective in reducing consumption when properly used. In addition, conducting a water audit often results in various ancillary benefits to a water utility, including increases in revenue to the utility by introducing slabs within users of various sectors. Okay, like if you are conducting a water audit and now you know that let's take an example of your RO plant which you are using. Okay, if your total water which RO plant is taking as input, okay, it is 10 liters. Okay, but when you are get what output you are getting only 2 to 3 liters. Then you need to actually repair your RO plant, because generally what RO plant have is that nowadays RO plants are also coming which gives you 60% to 70% of water, okay, of your fresh water, and only 30% of water is wasted. Okay, but at least it should be 50%. Okay, if it is less than 50%, like if the input is 10 liters and you are getting 5 liters as your usable water and 5 liters of water which is not non usable, then you should repair that thing. So all these things you will get when you are doing the water audit. Okay, also by doing the reuse of wastewater. Okay, you can also reuse your wastewater and rainwater harvesting. Okay, rainwater is the major source of our water, and it is basically just flows down and is not used. Okay, what we can do is we can either have the rainwater harvesting pits or tanks which can be used. So now coming to the Q&A part, Anuj, do we have any queries from people?
Yes, Ankur, we have a lot of questions. So let me take from the starting because we have a bunch of questions. I'm just putting out here. So there's a first question from Mr. Nikhil. What are the instruments used for testing the quality of water and flow of water? Is there any other instruments are required?
So for first thing is for quality of water, you can have the TDS meters, the COD BOD meters are also available. But if you are using it for drinking, then it is recommended to get the water tested through an NABL accredited lab. Okay, they have the credentials to do it, the water testing, and it would be a better testing. Okay, so you should get it done by an NABL accredited lab. And for water flow rates, you have ultrasonic flow meters, portable ultrasonic flow meters. You have magnetic flow meters which can be installed on the pipelines. So all these can be used for the flow rates.
Perfect. So hope the the answer is clear to you. The next question is from Mr. YS Rao. Like, is there any course or exam for water audit? If there is any, then please share the details.
In India, there is not yet any exam. In international, there are few exams going on. Okay, and you can directly, I think you can directly search. There are many exams by even ASHRAE and AEE, ASHRAE group and AEE groups. There are exams, so you can go through their websites and get the exam details as well.
And
can I add here?
Yes,
yes,
because,
Ashu. Yes, Ashu.
All right.
Please.
So I think regarding for the exam, because in India right now there is no authority who is giving the water auditor exam, same like the energy auditor. But definitely government is working, because recently the CGWA, like Ankur was mentioning, they came up the notification whichever is the 100 KLD consumption, that building or the industry need to be audited in every 3 years. And that is something is because right now they have empaneled the 5 different set of people, like mostly the industrial organization like CII, PhD chamber, FICCI, and of course the international auditors in that category. So international auditor, there is a association of energy engineer which conduct the certified water energy professional exam. Right now in India there is no one is certified from them, but that is something you definitely can think of it. Next. Anuj, you are on mute.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ashu. And for the one more thing I would like to add, the course part. So yes, very soon D2 Learning is coming with the water auditor course. So if you are interested, just fill out the feedback form and give your consent as well. Like if you're interested, just put the yes in the feedback form. If no, just put the no. So that will we will connect you once we have that course on board. We will reach out to you. So the next question from the Mr. Nikhil, who can perform water audit? What certification is required? Who provide this?
So I think I mentioned in my last the same question, only the as per the CGWA right now, the CII, FICCI, PhD chamber or international water auditor, because in India right now we don't have any water auditor. They can perform the water audit as per the CGWA compliances. But anyone, if it is not a compliance part, any one of you can also do, but you should have a knowledge of water audit.
Agree. So the next question is water treatment required for rainwater?
Yes, in some regions it is required. It is mentioned to actually whenever you are also doing the rainwater harvesting pit also, then you have to install some filters. Okay, it depends on your environment in your climate regions, because with rainwater comes the, if it is acid rains, I think most of people know about the acid rains and all. Okay, and what are the chemicals which are actually thrown out by the industries in these regions. So rainwater treatment is required. Okay, and it is required as per the climatic or the environment which you are having in your surroundings.
And also, I want to add up here because the rainwater, there's a two type of rainwater: is the roof or the non-roof rainwater. So for the roof, of course, there is not a much treatment required because you don't have any chemicals there. But at the non-roof, because the parking area you are collecting a water, in that the oil and grease are there, so we need to remove the total suspended solids (TSS), and the of course so that treatment is required when we are putting the rainwater in the groundwater.
Perfect. So there is a next question from Mr. Swaroop. Is there any standard available for correct use of water for different application or processes?
You can actually refer to, as I've mentioned earlier, that you can refer to National Building Code. Okay, it gives you the major water usages for each and every type of building. Mostly it covers all types of building. Okay, there are also local codes available. You can also use the green building codes, which are for LEED, IGBC, GRIHA, GEM. Okay, you can use any of these codes, these standards, for getting the
Yeah.
water consumption. Yeah.
Just want to add up here in that because the building sector, of course, when we are doing the building audit, the National Building Code has a benchmarking that you can have a baseline numbers and you can do. But when you do the process audit, because majorly most of the industries are going to audit, like textile industry, automobile industry, so they have internal benchmark as per the consumption, that how much they are generating, and per KL as per the unit of production. So that is they have the benchmark, and many industries like beverages industries, they have their own benchmark, that 1 liter of Coca Cola or 1 liter of Pepsi, that is the minimum water requirement is there. So every benchmark is available. But for the building sector, NBC purely highlighted, but all other process sector, you have to go to the process driven, like textile has a different similarly. So there are the tech available. These are things are available.
All right. So the next question is in the part of quality, why residual chlorine dosing required in water, and how much ppm we needs to maintain if we needs to dose, where we needs to dose before WTP or after?
So in that I want to add, because most of the time the chlorine we add to remove the bacterials or the bacterias comes up, because this is very famous in most of the beverages industries, where the quality of the water will be purely pure because we are drinking that water directly in the net. So the chlorination that we require, and the ppm level is definitely depend what kind of the water application it is. So it should be required, but of course the ppm level when we talk about it should be less than 500 ppm, and in that way, and those requirement, and it can be before the WTP, the water treatment plant, is generally depends upon the application to application, because I have done some water audit in different industries, and they have the different criteria in those.
Also, you can go through the standards, like CPCB have given the standards of TDS levels, how much TDS levels of your wastewater should be, how much TDS levels should be for your domestic usage of water. And for processes, it is specific for the process. So for process, you can ask any engineer, they will provide you that for this process, this water quality is required. So this varies for everything. So you can go through that websites as well.
Perfect. So there is a next question from Mr. Nikhil. Is there any limit chart for the use of water at every point? What is it?
I think limit chart thing, there is no limit chart, but yeah, for water usage, for every, as I've told you, that for a domestic usage in building or in industry, for domestic usages, when you are talking about, for flushing, you are talking about, okay, so for flushing, as NBC mentioned, that whether it is an industry or whether it is a your building, the flushing should be 6 liter per flush maximum flow rate. Okay, for urinals it is 3.8 liters per flush. So these type of limits are provided in NBC for domestic usages. for processes, as Ashu have told, that for processes it depends upon the process, which type of process it is and how much water is required, so and what is the output. So per liter of output or per kg of output, how much water is required, we have those limits for each and every individual process. Yeah.
All right. There's a one question from Mr. Anmol, like, is there any set compensation policy?
Compensation policy for what?
So I think so. Yes, Ashu, you would like to add?
I think which I understand that he's referring related to the CGW non-compliances. If what are the compensation policy in that way? If someone is not complying those things, so there's a detail I think he's mentioned the water non-compliances. So those details are available on the CGW website. It depends upon the start of NOC and how much you are consuming. They will get back to you that what is actually the compensation number in that.
Yeah, there is a directly link provided on the CGW website. You can go and check the environmental compensation which you have to pay.
All right. I think so. This is question is answer is clear to the Anmol. The next question is from Bhanu. Does different tools are used for water audit for household and for commercial or hotels, etc.?
I think we have mentioned that.
Yes, I think so. We have covered this. Like, what are the tools we required for the audit? The next question is thank you so much. Anmol mentioned like it was a very great, really great exercise. Thank you. So there's a question from Katyani Energy. Please share the link for the standard to be followed for such audit. So I think Ankur has mentioned the standard that we follow for the audit.
Yeah. They can directly get. Yeah.
Yes. So there's a one question from Bhanu. How much LPM water audit suggests that how much amount of water should come out from the faucets to save water? So what is the limit?
As I've told you that for NBC, okay, if it is a lavatory faucet which is private, NBC says it should be 8 LPM. If it is metered faucet with for public usage, then it should be 1 liter per use. Okay, for lavatory, if it is a public faucet, it is 1 liter per use. Okay, so that is as per NBC. And then if you are the specific standards which you are referring, they will have the different type. For shower heads, it is around 10 LPM, 10 liters per minute.
Right, and just want to add up here, that is the reason you have seen that now the sensor based faucets are coming up, aerators are putting on. So in the water audit, we always suggest those strategies. If the existing building doesn't have these things, we can propose. Now most of the airports or most of the new building, you can see the sensor based, so it uses less water in that.
All right. So there's the next question. Can you share a sample exercise and a study where the complete water audit, including pumps, motor, etc., are included, and methodology for conducting such audits?
That would be the confidential data, I think, because it can't be shared.
That is something as a consulting, our work is there, no doubt. We can train you. We can do in the training program. You can get it, but of course the calculation and a spreadsheet we have prepared internally for our calculations.
So hope things are clear. The next question from Mr. Yogesh. Please advise if groundwater can be directly used for irrigation purposes. Currently, the TDS of groundwater is approx 4,000.
Sir, I think I would suggest, I think the irrigation purposes, if the building, if you are talking about the building irrigation system, always try to use the recycled water, the grey water for the landscaping and all areas, because we can convert the water through the STP and convert into the grey water, and so the potable water consumption should get reduced. And now the question comes, if the agriculture land, when we talk about the agriculture land definitely the plants and the trees needs some specific level of quality of water. The TDS level is going very down these days, 4,000 to 5,000, very correctly you said. So it needs a treatment, otherwise the plants will get die or the agriculture will not be properly arranged. So that is the reason quality of the water is very important as per the quantity of water also. So but because when you in the building sector, when you convert it to the grey water, the quality, that is the reason in the STP we always highlight there is a 3 standard: the primary standard, secondary standard, and tertiary standard. So the quality of water should be as per the norms required. So that can be happening.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ashu. The next question from Mr. Sayyed. Sir, how can we improve our home water consumption? Gives us some simple and instant solutions.
Very nice. I
So
think that is. Please, Ankur, you should go ahead. Then I will add it.
yeah, so I've mentioned, I think first thing is like you can actually reduce the water usage of your taps. Okay, what is the flow rates? As you have now actually checked your flow rates, you can reduce the flow rates of your taps. Okay, second thing is what the amount, like when you are taking your shower. Okay, generally when you go under your shower, you will be like, okay, let's in summer seasons mostly you will be like, okay, let's increase our time for 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay, when you are washing your clothes or you are mopping your floorings. Okay, all these are the regions where you can save your water. You can also reuse your waters as well, like Ashu sir has told that you can reuse your water used in irrigations for buildings and all. So all
And
those are the measures. Yeah.
right, and just want to add up here because the first step to for any audit to measure. So like Ankur presentation was showing that for the household there is a requirement 135 liter per day per capita. So first calculate how many people you are living in a one flat or in a house and how much water you are consuming. You will get to know if it is consuming high, then there is a chances to do a audit and there are chances to do a savings. So first measurement is required. Do the measure and how you can save. If you're like several people were saying 10 liter or 8 liter per minute water is coming up, which is very high. We need to put aerators in that. So aerators will put a pressure and the water flow will be less. Similarly, for the uses of the shower or uses of the WC, because majorly water goes in a house areas, in the bathrooms areas, mostly in the water closet or in the shower under the bucket when we do the bathing. Similarly for the kitchen sink also. So these are the areas when you go in the detailed water audit training kind of thing, you will get to know what are the areas you need to focus. So, but these are I'm going to be giving you the hint where you can work to reduce the water consumption of your house.
Perfect. I think so. Things are clear. That the next question from Mr. Yogesh: is there any other technology other than RO plant to reduce TDS?
Yes, there are different technologies available. Okay, we can't directly provide the names here. Okay, but there are different technologies available other than RO plant. Okay, there are some impulse technologies available, and there are some electromagnetic technologies are also available other than RO plants, which can be used to reduce TDS.
And guys, I want to highlight here because a lot of people having a tendency to put up a RO plant everywhere. And this is like we are following the like RO plant. You don't have RO plant, you are not a good person in you because it's not a good house. But it's not matter because it depends why the RO is required if the quality of the water is very poor. So there is a drinkable water limit, like we can drink the water up to the 500 TDS level when we talk about the people, the direct water which is coming is 100 or 200 TDS, still people are using RO. That should not be there. So proper awareness in which city, in which area RO is required, then we need to put a water because when we put up a 1 liter of RO, when we make a 1 liter of water from the RO system, it wastes the 50% of that in the domestic RO, and that is huge. So you can imagine that how many water we daily produce in RO and how much we are wasting that water. I saw some questions regarding how can we reuse that water or we can directly send to the plants or irrigation. It sometimes it not because if the rejection RO water quality is TDS high in that, so then plant cannot sustain those things. So whenever we use that water, we have to check the quality, what are the quality levels are coming up. Like in a hotel projects, we have utilized that RO water in some mopping purpose or some cleaning purpose we can do. But still there is a limitation when we are using to make RO water reuse in that. Next.
All right. So the next question is, I think so we are done. We have one more question. STP water after treatment can be utilized for water bodies. What are the testing parameters needs to consider since customer kids can play with it directly?
So yes, STP water can be. I would say that STP water should be utilized for water bodies because all the water bodies we are generally they are just for our they are just for the we can say to attract the customers for the hotels. Okay, all the water bodies are for that. So water bodies, if you are not using the water for your domestic for drinking purposes, okay, from that water body. You can use the STP water for those water bodies. And for testing parameters, basic things are TDS levels, your pH levels, okay, what are your COD levels and BOD levels, okay, what are the organic substances levels in that. So all these are the things which should be taken care, okay, in the testing parameters.
I think I want to add up here because he also mentioned the customer kits can play directly because that water comes to the direct touch to the human body also, and that is the same questions comes in the irrigation well also, because in the landscaping when we use the recycled water, kids play in the landscaping area, or we also sit in the landscape area. So these things are well tested. We have seen, of course, the people are now, like I have seen the videos from the Bill Gates also, they can drink the water after the treatment of STP. They can drink the water, but in India, of course, we don't have that tendency to drink the water. In future, definitely technology will come up in that way, though we can recycle in that level, but still we should definitely utilize that water in the water bodies. For that, quality should be tertiary standard treatment is required, because directly the human body is getting in touch, so that should not be some impact on the body. So that is my suggestion.
All right. So I think so we are done with most all the questions. So there's a one appreciation from Surbhi, like a very good, would like to thank Anuj Ashu sir for organizing the informative session. Thank you, Surbhi. Thank you. She's thanking to Ankur as well for the great session. So I think so we are done with the questions. If any questions are available, like either you can drop us a mail also, or you can reach out to our social media platforms. Then we will cover. Let me share. Ankur, would you like to share that video that we prepared? That we got that video from one person. Would you like to share that video?
Yeah, just a second, Anuj. I will just share that video. Give me a second.
So it's a very good 3-minute video. If you people are here, please just have a look on that video. That is very important. And after that video, I will share some one more important announcement that our next session, it is going to be a very great session. Next session, which is having on 9th of July. So please hear and watch out this video. Beautiful video. Should I share that one?
No, I'm sharing, Anuj. Just give me a
Okay.
second.
All
I'm
right.
sharing.
All right.
I think my screen is visible. Anuj,
Yes.
let me know if volume is
Thank you, Ankur, for sharing a beautiful video with the beautiful messages. So let me share my screen because the upcoming I'm just would like to share and thank all the people who joined us today. So thank you so much, guys, are there right now and who joined us session today for your presence and for attending our session. If you missed out any part of this session, please do check out our D2O Learning YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/D2O Learning, and you will get this the session recording over there by tomorrow. So you can have a look there and you can like and subscribe our channel. Please do not forget to like and subscribe our channel. And the important announcement is episode 3. The today's episode was episode 2, and on 9th of July, which is the next Friday, we have episode number 3 from and the topic is IFC's Edge, enabling green buildings and green finance. So that's a very interesting topic, and we have collaborated with IFC and Edge team, and the speaker is coming from there itself, and they will share about what is Edge, what is the green buildings there in the Edge green building rating system, and the green finance. So if you're interested, you can scan the QR code. Just scan this QR code and you're registered for the session there. Check out the second link of the QR code. So you will get the link and you can register for the session. And if not right now, we will share this link to you on your email as well. Whoever attended today's session, they will get the link. And please follow our social media pages so that you will get more information timely. Okay, so this is on 9th of July at the same time, 5 p.m. as per the Indian Standard Time. Okay, it's 9th July. The next important announcement is the 2-week energy simulation mastery workshop, because recently we completed a last week mastery workshop. The next batch, which is our 5th batch, is starting from 19th of July. So if you are interested to join and learn energy simulation something, please attempt go check out this link, and you can enroll yourself for the this simulation workshop. That is a very interesting workshop. A lot of people share the feedback. You can check out the feedback on our website and our social media platforms. So do not miss this opportunity to attend these workshops. Yes, so these are the 2 important announcements from my end. Ashu, would you like to add something?
Yeah, Anuj, I think I think 2-3 hand raised. I'm not sure they want to speak. So can you just unmute them if they want to speak on that?
Let me go and check it out.
Mr. Yes. Mr. Lohadia, I think has.
Let me. I am unmute. Nikhil, Mr. Lohadia, and Anmol. You people can unmute yourself. Nikhil, you can unmute yourself if you would you like to add something.
Hello.
Yes, Nikhil, please. I think.
Yes,
I just want to ask whether we can use the RO wastewater to plants or somewhere else so that we can conserve water more.
I think, sir, I think, Nikhil, I responded on that RO water. Of course, rejection, it depends upon how much the rejection quality of the water. Because in the domestic purpose, generally, when we do the domestic RO and we reutilize that water for our balcony in the balcony plantation, always you will see, because it depends upon what TDS level water you were getting. So it depends because whenever we do the commercial projects, we have to do the water quality testing after the rejection of after the RO rejection. If that quality is meeting the criteria as per the plant specification, then we can use. Otherwise, we should not use that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Lohadia ji, I think you can speak now.
Yeah. I want to congratulate the D2O team for the very nice presentation. I have also carried out some detailed energy audits in textile sector, in the process plants and in the power plants. And there are some practical tips which I can share with you, like to stop the evaporation or to reduce the evaporation of the water from the water bodies and the open tanks. We can use the plastic balls which will float around, and it will reduce the evaporation drastically. I had implemented this in some of the textile industries in Bhilwara, and they were so happy with this. Recently, I suggested this also to JSW Birdman, where they are pumping water from about 200 kilometers. and storing in the plant. And then once I told them, okay, buy some plastic balls and allow them to float on the water bodies and water storage areas. So some of the practical ideas they will gain. And one of the basic things which I find in big industries, that colonies are also part of that. And they are not being charged. Also, it is being given as a free supply to the members of the unit, and it leads to a lot of wastage because that is a small portion out of the total, and they are not being built upon them. They draw themselves water from the rivers, say like in Baswara, they pump it and then they use it, and then there is a very little awareness even in the townships also to do these things. And big wastes are there in the swimming pools, which are attached with these industries. They just drain the water of the swimming pool without doing anything. थोड़ा पत्ते गिर गए, पानी खराब हो गया, जीएम साहब आ रहे हैं और यहाँ मालकिन आ रही है और वो सारा पानी की पानी वो ड्रेन स्टॉप वाटर ड्रेन में डाल देते हैं. So when we go to do the big audits, particularly, ठीक है, domestic and malls and these are all small things, are educational institutions, but heavy wastage of water has been going on in the industry for long. And the auditors or the water audit teams should try to do big work in these big industries instead of doing small in pockets. Let all these awareness programs should be given to NGOs. Go in the institutions, go in the girls' hostels, go in the boys' hostels, where the water taps are being kept open. They don't even bother to close the tap after taking the shower. So we have to really make a big awareness programs. And yes, certainly this is a big, good initiative by DTO on the water audits. But mostly the water meters, they are not working in most of the homes and in the places, in the public places, in malls. They are just installed, mechanical water meters, they get stopped, no one bothers to clean them. And they are being billed on average. For last 6 months consumption, okay, keep on doing it. No one bothers what is going on.
Absolutely, Lord, absolutely, I totally agree with your point. And so first of all, thank you so much, sir, Azana, because you are one of the renowned accredited energy auditor in India who has this lot of experience, and you attended our training. It is a pleasure for us, and thank you for sharing your the learnings to us. And we will try our level best to have more and more training programs. And sir, would like to invite you also for our training programs to speak on that. So
yeah,
thank you.
And in my suggestion that industrial audit, water audits should be paid more attention than these small things. No doubt they matter, but 100 छोटे घर और एक इंडस्ट्री के साथ लगा हुआ जीएम का बंगलो या स्विमिंग पूल जो बराबर हो जाता है सब किसी भी काम को करने के लिए. So please take care of that, and a good attempt by the DTO team to train the people properly in the very systematic method, in the very systematic way. I congratulate the team of DTO for this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We have one more person, Mr. Anmol. Anmol, you can unmute yourself and you can ask a question.
Hi, everyone. First of all, that was a really great session. I would like to congratulate all of you. And it was indeed very insightful. So I had two questions mainly. One was that the domestic RO, there are two ways in which ROs are used in residential projects. One is the domestic RO and one is used in the ETP as the tertiary treatment method. What is the best method to use that RO treated water? I mean, reuse that RO treated water. I mean that the RO reject whatever is coming out of it. Where can it be used for proper, just proper use of water?
Ankur, would you like to take this question or should I? I think you.
Yes, sir. So for RO treated, for the RO water, RO rejected water, which you are asking, right, Amnon?
Yes.
So for RO rejected water, okay, generally it is not actually recommended to use it directly in the irrigation plants and all, okay, because the quality of that water is not good, so you can't use it. Okay, so but you can use it in your washing. Okay, you can use the water for your washing clothes and washing utensils. You can use majorly for washing clothes. You can use that water, or you can directly you can recharge that water as well in the ground as well. So Ashu sir, if you would like
No, no,
to
no.
add.
I think I want to highlight here because the RO rejection water is the biggest challenge in every industry. Because during
Yes.
my audits in the hotels also, because there's a hotel, there's a very big RO plant and lot of generation of rejection happens. And they're also struggling with this technology. That is there any technology available that we can use the RO rejection water? So everyone is struggling at this moment, but definitely most of the times they are using for cleaning the surfaces, like if they have the mopping and everything they are using. But in the majority, I have not seen yet any good technology which we can reuse that RO rejection water. So I am
Yes,
sure I'm.
exactly.
So that is a challenge, I would say, that Anmol,
Okay.
because during that I'm also trying to talk with several Norway companies, because they are coming, and this is actually a big challenge. And in any startup, I think they need to work, because RO is increasing in a bigger way, but the rejection of the RO water reutilizing is also a critical issue.
Yes,
So
it's a big challenge.
it's a big challenge. So I totally agree with you. It's a big challenge, and and no one is taking it. I always talk with those people who says that my building is a net zero discharge facility, but I don't know how it is a discharge, because they are rejecting that water, the RO rejection water, directly to the municipal corporation, like in that line, the sewage line.
Sewer
So that
line,
is
yes.
also thing, and of course we cannot recharge to the ground also. We cannot recharge to the ground because the quality of the water is not as per the storm water which we require. So these are
Yes.
this
And
is the
exactly,
struggle.
and it will also because the high TDS value, it will also clog the
Right.
pipes, and the land will also become barren. So these are
Absolutely.
kind of the problems that we face with it.
Absolutely.
Okay,
No,
sir,
absolutely.
that
So
was
that is
really
something.
great.
That is something I think we need to more some solution required in India, and I'm pretty
Sure.
sure that something will come up for sure in future. Thank you, Anmol.
Definitely. Sir, just one more thing I wanted to know, that the course of energy simulation you were talking about, Anup
Mhm.
sir was telling about it. So, which software are we going to learn in that course?
So we are training on eQuest software, which is a free of cost or basically is a funded by the US Department of Energy. So it is
Okay.
worldwide accepted software. Every country accept that software. That is we are training. So it's a eQuest energy simulation software. So we have done
Okay.
this. We have trained more than 100 people in past also. I think in
Okay.
energy simulation is specific. So this might be the fourth or fifth training program from the eQuest simulation.
Okay, sir. I'll just definitely look into it. Okay.
And I think
Thank you.
please be in loop always for the what D2O webinar is happening. We are bringing a new things, because the water audit is something, of course, the new. We will be coming with the fire audit training also one day. We are also coming the carbon neutrality, because a lot of people are talking about carbon neutrality, ESG indexing, like environmental social governance. So I'm
Yes.
sure that just be in touch with the D2O on
Definitely, sir.
social media,
Definitely.
then you will get all the information. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anmol, for a great questions and your participation in the training and the workshop. So I believe we have completed all the questions and all the things I have shared. So if you people learned something new, please go to your LinkedIn profile or the Instagram or WhatsApp or anywhere. If you learn something new, do share on social media. Take a snapshot of this workshop, this webinar. You can share on the social media and tag our faculty, Ashu, me, Ankur, and so that we can give a shout out to you as you attended our program. That would be great. And please mark your calendar for the 9th of July, 5 o'clock in the evening, the next episode, which is episode number 3 on IFC Edge, enabling green buildings and the green finance. So I look forward to see you in the next episode. Till then, stay safe and take care.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.